Welcome to the Alpha Girl Confidence Podcast, where we are empowering youth female athletes to play and live confidently. My name is Shay Haddo, and each week I will bring you new episodes to teach you the strategies and tools that you need in order to live a confident, empowered life both on and off the playing field. Hey, what's up? And welcome back to episode 151. So this episode, as you can tell by the title, is for parents. This is also a great episode for coaches. So in this episode, it is from a previous training that I did in my Facebook group. And so I wanted to share it with you because it was a really great training, really great information for parents to learn how you can help your daughter to develop a growth mindset. So I hope you enjoy the training. Also, if you're not a part of our Facebook group, you can join in the show notes below, or you can just search on Facebook, Alpha Girl Confidence in the groups. It's a free group where I go live 3 to 4 times a month and provide trainings for both parents and players. So if you're not with us already in that group, it's an awesome community. I hope you can join us, and I hope you enjoy the episode. So today we're going to be going into 3 ways that you as a parent, also this is great for coaches too, but 3 ways parents can help your daughter to develop a growth mindset. So this is incredibly important. It's really kind of the foundational piece, I believe, to really be successful and happy and achieve anything is you first have to have a growth mindset. Once you have the growth mindset, everything else can kind of, follow in place. The confidence comes, she's able to play and more importantly, live to her full potential. So number one, and I've talked about this plenty of times. So if you're not new here, if you've been on a lot of these trainings, this isn't going to be new to you. But number 1 is to focus on the effort, not the results. Okay, focus on the effort, not the results. So putting that into other terms is really focusing on and praising and encouraging the things she can control versus the things she can't control, right? She can always control her effort. She can't always control results. That's true for pretty much anything in life, So here's why this is so important for a growth mindset. And as I was kind of, thinking about today's topic and coming up with these 3 points, I was like, dang, I could seriously create like probably a full hour, 2-hour training just on this 1 point right here. It's so incredibly important. So here's the thing with this is when you celebrate your daughter for just her successes, for her results, for things that she doesn't have full control over, she ties that result directly to her talent, not the effort that she put in to get that result, right? So it teaches her that in order to succeed, she has to have talent. And if she doesn't succeed, it's because she doesn't have talent, right? In order to get praise, I have to score goals, or I have to win, or I have to score a certain amount of points. In order to get love, I have to score a certain amount of points, right? So those are kind of the programming that takes place when we coaches and when we parents only focus on the results and not what got the results. So it's really important when you're giving your daughter praise, when you're encouraging her, when you're giving her feedback, to really focus on the process, focus on the results, right? So a really specific example, let's say that your daughter just got an A on her test. Immediately we go say, oh my gosh, you're so smart, right? And the thing is being smart, that's kind of outside of us in a sense. So they attribute the only way I'm going to get a good score on my test is if I'm smart. And if I'm not smart, then I can't do better. I'm stuck. I'm stuck with my intelligence is where it is. Whereas if you say, hey, great job on your test. I know you studied really hard to get a good grade. That shows them that the way they study, how they study, the work they put in, the effort they put in, how they prepare is what gets them the result. So really you can take that same example and use it for, if she scored a goal or if she got 20 points or if she had an amazing block, all of those things can be attribute the effort instead of the innate talent to that result. Okay. And that just goes for every area of our life. And then another thing is after games is instead of focusing on the result, let's say you didn't go to a game, and I'm guilty of this too. If I'm talking to a player, I used to always just ask, did you guys win? Like that's the first thing you ask, right? Let's say you didn't go to your kid's game, and first thing we ask is, did you win? What does that teach them? It teaches them that all we care about is winning, that all we care about is a result, that that's all that matters. And so instead of asking, did you win? Like, what's more important? We know having fun. Did you play hard? Did you have fun? I already said that. How did you play? Right. So instead of saying, what was the score? Say, did you have fun? How did you play? What'd you learn? Right. So again, it all goes back to taking the result out of the picture, because in the end, the result doesn't matter. It's the effort that you put in to either get the result or at least develop the habits to try to get the result. Okay. So this kind of ties into, this could be another point, I guess, but really like when they mess up is using that as an opportunity. Think of that as a great opportunity for you to talk to them about learning from that opportunity instead of just being upset and getting down on themselves. All right. So that is number one, is focus on the process, focus on the effort rather than the result, whether it's a test score, a game, what have you. So number two is and I love this one. So number one, just like, little side note here. Number one is something that I talk about a lot, and that if you listen, like you're like, okay, Shay, yeah, I know. Right. But the next two are something that I don't talk about all the time. So these are a little bit more fun. So number two is to embody the growth mindset yourself. Embody it yourself. So it does not matter, regardless of how many times you tell your daughter to have a growth mindset. If you are not practicing what you preach, it will never work. If you tell your daughter to have a growth mindset and then you mess up a recipe and you get all pissed off at yourself, that's going to teach her to get mad at mistakes. That's going to teach her that, like, and if you say, oh, I'm not good enough, I suck at baking a cake, whatever, that's just the first thing that came into my mind because I'm hungry. It teaches her like that my mom's telling me to have a growth mindset, but she doesn't have one herself, right? Or my dad's telling me to have a growth mindset, but every time he burns the hamburgers, he just gets all mad and says he can't do it, right? Like it's really about embodying it in yourself. Because as we all know, very rarely do your kids actually listen to what you say, right? Very rarely do they listen to what you say, but they always, whether you believe it or not, they always watch what you do. They learn way more from what you do than what you say, right? It's all about your actions. So if you're sitting here telling them to do it, but you don't do it yourself, guarantee you it's not going to work. So this is like, all right, personal development time for you parents is the more you embody a growth mindset, the more you show up for yourself with confidence, the more you step into your power as a parent, as a person, the more they will as well, right? This is huge. And like for the parents in the Alpha Girl Collective, we have a call, our parent call next week, which I'm really excited about because we'll get into this stuff even more. But really, the last thing I'll say with this is that you have to embody what you want them to become. You can't expect them to become something that you can't embody yourself. So I'm not saying that you have to be confident in order for them to be confident, or you have to go out and, train 3 times a week for them to do it. But like, it's kind of these subconscious messages that they get. If you're not embodying it, but you're saying it, like they know, they're smart, right? They know. So that's really, really huge. Number 3 is to encourage them to work on it themselves. So you can't just embody it. You can't just tell them, you can't just encourage things, but then they don't care to work on it. Like number 3 is huge, is that they have to do the work. They have to, it's got to come from them. You cannot physically take a growth mindset and put it into their brain. No matter what you do, like those things, number 1 and 2 are going to help. But if they aren't willing to go do the things themselves, it's not going to work, right? We know this. We know you can never do the work for somebody. You can never get the results for somebody. So as a parent, it's really important that not only do you do these things we talked about, but you encourage them to explore it on their own. You encourage them to work on it, right? You encourage them, or not you encourage, you show them the importance of it. Maybe you have a lesson in your life where you didn't have a growth mindset and you can share the lessons you've learned, right? Maybe it's not like pushing it on them, but somehow you've got to encourage them to work on their mindset and to work on their confidence. And I know, like, after, talking to hundreds of you guys, there's such a mix here. There's such a mix of some of your daughters are like gung ho. I want to be more confident. I want to work on my mindset. I know that I need help. And then there's another part of you where your daughters like don't quite see it yet. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're just haven't got to that awareness phase yet. But where they just don't really see the value in it, or they don't know how to do it, or they just haven't been, hasn't even come into their awareness that working on your mindset is even a thing, right? So wherever your daughter is at, let's say she's in the phase where she doesn't know about it, have her watch these videos, have her read my book, have her listen to podcasts. Doesn't have to be my stuff. Obviously, I'm going to say watch my stuff because it's great. But like have her start getting introduced to it. Because it's, in my opinion, it's not like I'm some boring old, professor up here trying to preach about something that I can't relate to. Like have her listen to this stuff, watch this stuff, because that is like going to just bring, once she becomes aware of this stuff, becomes aware of the mindset, becomes aware of how to build confidence, then like that's the very first step. Then she can actually start to work on it. Right. But without that, if you're just doing all the learning and doing all the watching and doing all the listening, and she's not doing anything, the results are going to be really, really, really slow. But if you guys can be a united front on this, if you guys can be a team, maybe one day a week, it's like Mindset Mondays. Oh, that's great. Right. Mindset Mondays, we are going to read a book, or we're going to listen to a podcast, or we're going to watch a video, or we're going to kind of work on this stuff together, or, have her do it on her own, of course. But just like that's a way that you guys could do this together, right? Because I think a lot of times players are embarrassed that they're not confident, or ashamed that they are feeling the way that they're feeling. And just knowing that like they are not alone is huge. Like we had last week on our coaching call in the collective, we had like a Q&A, and we talked about how a lot of girls feel like they're alone when then they're the new girl. And I asked the girls at the end of the call, like, what's the biggest takeaway you got out of today's call? And most of the girls were saying like, just knowing that I'm not alone is like so huge. Just knowing that like other girls feel the same way as me is so huge. And it doesn't need to be, I'm embarrassed anymore. It's like, yeah, I'm feeling these things, and it's okay, because now I can actually go work on them. Now I can actually take advantage of having a strong mindset, whether it's in my school, with my friends, on the field, on the court, like whatever it is. Having a growth mindset is going to help your daughter in literally every single area in her life. And that's the most important thing for me, is just like in her life as a kid, as a teenager, as a young woman.